Well, Robert, looking at this matter, now we look at the Senate. Ordinarily, you see them deliberating on matters gently, in the manner which they usually do. But this one, I mean, you saw that one of the senators coming from his own end of the chair to another who had the floor. And boy, this is dividing almost everyone, both the National Assembly, Nigerians, and what's happening? What do you see from what you look at?
What is happening in Rivers State I find very unfortunate, first and foremost, because like you've pointed out rightly, it's something that has a great potential of dividing the country, and in terms of what is right and what is wrong. Ultimately, we find a situation where different sides are coming out with different stories, and we do not know which actually is the truth. But essentially, for me, I think the parties involved, as the Rivers State government and the federal government, they need to sit down and have serious dialogue towards bringing about a peaceful resolution of this matter. Because if this matter is not handled properly, it has the potential of taking us backwards from where...
You say federal government?
Yeah.
How do you mean?
I say federal government because ultimately in a country of that is a federation, the federal government supersedes everything. I don't want to believe that the federal government is behind anything happening in Rivers. Because sometimes in politics, certain elements in government might be doing things in the name of somebody. It does not mean that person is behind it. And people will carry on with that story that is the federal government. But I think it has come to a point that the federal government needs to come out and take a position on this matter.
What would you expect in terms of what kind of position? What should they be saying about this?
First and foremost, in reference to the rally that was dispersed, we all knew, every right-thinking Nigerian knows that because of what has played out in Rivers State so far, there was no way on earth that, based on how politics is played, there was no way on earth the police would have given the usual security cover to the rally sponsored by the state government, while it would give to the other side. It's standard in our politics. It is not right, but that's what happens. It's not the first time, but we need to evolve from that stage to a better stage where we need to be.
A host of people would not agree with you, because what we have seen also is that, I mean, you also have the police in states of the opposition, and it would seem that the governors of those states seem to get pretty well along with their commissioners of police. So you're wondering what exactly is the trouble in Rivers State?
True. The Rivers State crisis is a very peculiar one. The truth is, a lot of Nigerians do not even know the actual origin of this matter, what has caused it and what has fueled it this far. But whatever it is, the actors know, and they need to search their conscience and ask themselves one question: are they pursuing personal interest, or are they pursuing the general interest of the people? Because I believe if we are all pursuing the communal interest, the general interest of Nigerians as it should be, a lot of things happening would not happen. But most times we find that people are always pursuing personal interest. Personal interest comes first, and then any other thing follows. It shouldn't be so. We need to change that dimension, that scope. It needs to be general interest first. That's because when you are in a position of authority and you're in a government position, it's a call to serve, and serving is serving the people, not serving yourself. So serving the people means at all times you must think of the communal interest first.
Well, before because if you look at those visuals here, this was, I think, the last rally that was to hold in Bori, that never held. But let's talk about the police activity in all of this, because now you're talking about the federal government, but people would still say, let's talk about the police. It's about protection of lives and property in a place. Do you think so far what you've been observing is what you would want to call a good job from the police?
Now, in terms of the police and the crisis, if we all know that these rallies had political connotations.
It does?
Yeah, of course it does. Yeah, if you look at the forerunners of these rallies, they are all politicians. So you can't separate it. Now,
although they say they are NGOs of those groups.
They will come out with different names, but we all know that they had political connotations, political inclinations, whatever.
You also even talked about political sponsorship. I think you mentioned that one of the groups was being sponsored by the Rivers State government.
Well, I believe that that particular group, the rally, the Save Rivers movement, is a group sponsored by the state governments.
That's what you think, or that's
what I believe. And I was reading a document this morning from Senator Magnus Abe, which he has sent to the Senate, and he even said it in that letter that both sides of the divide decided to float NGOs to sell their beliefs and programs. And so if that confirms what I'm saying, I mean, so now for a political rally, first and foremost, because INEC has not cleared the air for people to do all that rally and campaigns, so that is why they have decided to go with the NGO idea.
You think that is right, in your own opinion?
It doesn't make it right.
Should INEC be saying something about this?
INEC definitely should be saying something about this, because
if they are violating
it's definitely political. Now, for something political, we all know that it brings about a situation whereby lives and properties could be endangered, as it happened, which is why it becomes imperative that the police has to be invited to give cover, security cover for that gathering. And that is where people now say what people have come to describe in these days as permits. But the law does not really say you need a permit to hold a rally. But for anything that has to do with politics, you need to inform the police to come and give you cover so that lives and properties will be protected. And they wrote to the police, and the police did not give an affirmative response. That in itself, if I was the convener of the rally, once I do not get the right response from the police, I would know that there will be a problem, because naturally the next thing that will happen is that the police would most likely come there and disperse the gathering.
So what would you then do if you had that mindset concerning the rally?
The right thing to do would not to go on with the rally and go into dialogue. The whole problem so far has been lack of dialogue.